Hello, I'm Declan Traynor, and you're very welcome to the August episode of the Virginia Roundup. Well, it's hard to believe that we're in the middle of August already. Where has the year gone to? I do not know, but hopefully you've got to enjoy some of the good weather that we've experienced over the summer. We've got a very busy Virginia Roundup this month. Very shortly, I'll be talking to Martin McGovern from CMETB. He'll be giving advice for anyone who's waiting for Leaving Cert Results and indeed CA offers. Also, we'll be giving you some advice if you're searching for student accommodation. Gary Brazil will give us some advice on Age Defy Fitness. And of course, Michelle will be here with the 2-minute reset.
The Virginia Roundup.
So we're a couple of days out from the annual panic when the Leaving Certificate results come out. And with that, of course, the rush for points. And what are we going to do next? I'm delighted to say I'm joined in studio here by Martin McGovern, who's the guidance counsellor with CMETB in the office based in Ballyjamestuff. Thanks for joining us here in the Virginia Roundup, Martin.
Thanks for having me, Declan. Good to see you again.
Yeah, and you. Panic time.
Yeah, and there's, it's easy to say, but what can you panic about? Because it's done. You're only at the mercy of what's coming. You can't change it, I suppose.
And what's your advice for the day of getting your results? I know a lot of it's online now.
Well, Friday the 21st at 10 a.m. you get your results. You log on. It's a portal. Really the panic stations is the following week when the offers come out. Mm-hmm. Because, you get your points, but it all works off the following week when the offers come out. Because the points you have, say you get 425 points, and the course you wanted last year was 420 points, and you go, nice one, I've got that. But yet that course could jump. Yeah. And could be 440, and you don't get it. So it's really the points. It's lovely to see the fruits of your hard work, and it's lovely to see, God, I done this, I got that, or whatever. But it's the following week. That's the big one. Yeah.
Well, I think we spoke earlier in the year when we were talking about submitting your CIO choices, and you were kind of telling us the basis on how the points are allocated. It's not just it's based on. Is it based on the number of applications they receive, or the system to it?
It's not the college
out of the year.
No, the college is not sitting there. So it's based on the demand. So for example, a course in Trinity maybe that only houses, we say, 30 students on that course, and you have 300 people applying for it. Yeah. Well, those 30 with the top marks will get the space. So that's the way it works. Yeah. And the last person, so if a course is 380 points, it means the last person to get their bum on a seat got 380. Everyone else got 380 plus.
Right, yeah.
And or then you might see a course like Arts and Minute where there could be 1,400 places. There's only 300 points because there's lots of spaces. Yeah. So it's on the demand. Yeah. The demand sets the points, not the college. Mm-hmm.
And what's the process as such? You get your results, and then it's the following week, as you say, is the offers.
You get your results, and you have a party and enjoy, and that's the results of what you've done. But the biggie is, as I say, the following week when the offers come out. Yeah, that's when that's more nervous for people than the day of the results. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you don't get what you wanted, we've spoken about this before, you maybe shouldn't pick something just for the sake of doing something. Yeah,
look, what'll happen is if you fill out your CEO and you fill out your level 8s and you've put in 10 courses, chances are you're going to get an offer. Mm-hmm. And you'll also get, if you fill in your level 6s and 7s, and again, you have 10 choices there, if you fill in the 10, you'll get an offer, more than likely. Mm-hmm. Unless, of course, you get 250 points, but you put in courses at 500 plus points, you're not getting an offer. Mm-hmm. But the way the system works, if you haven't met the requirement for the first offer, it'll make its way down. So if you get your third or fourth place offer, and then it's down to you. You might get that, and you might get your level 6 and 7. You could get your first place in the level 6 or 7. So then that's a conversation at home, and that's which will I choose? Yeah. A lot of students will have maybe, especially we're on the border here, so probably have done a UCAS application. So they may decide the choice is really going to, if you've done a UCAS application, do I take the UCAS, which is maybe one of the Northern colleges or even across England, your CEO level 8 or your CEO level 6 or 7. And then a lot of students should, but not all, should have maybe an idea of maybe a PLC that they might do. Mm. And that's the choice you have. Yeah. And a misconception for some students, and I've had parents often say it to me, no, he doesn't like the offer he got, number 2. He wants number 7 on the list. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. You get one.
You get one
if
offer,
you get any,
and you take it or leave it.
You take it or leave it.
You don't get choice.
Only thing that can happen, right? So say, and this I suppose is where round 2, round 3 offers, you hear this come up. So say somebody takes their offer, they get the third place offer, they really wanted the first place. They missed out maybe by 15 points. The second round offers come out. So the reason there's a second round offers is if there is 60 places on a course and only 55 people accept that, and there's 5 spaces left, then round 2, the points might drop.
Right.
So you might, and then you have a choice, because you might get an offer 2 or 3 weeks later from that college saying, actually, the course you wanted number 1 there is actually dropped. So then you have a choice. But I'd be very wary of holding out in the hope.
Yeah.
You know,
and would that be the second round? Is that based on you not accepting anything in the first round?
No, accept away.
Accept away.
And then you can decide. I know people who were off in Galway doing a course and they got the third round offer in UCD that they'd always wanted, and they headed to UCD in the middle of September. Yeah. Now, it's crazy. The big panic now is accommodation. That's what's going to kickstart when the offers come out.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a bit later on the podcast. A whole other another
nightmare for parents in particular.
But I suppose in relation to offers, I suppose the system is assuming that you put in the course you want to do in the order you want to do it, so it's not going to you get the highest of your choice. So what I qualify for, you get your offer. So when you get your offer, you know, assuming it's one of the top 3 or 4 that you wanted, and I hope for most people it'll be their number 1 choice. You know, because students are quite smart. They know like where they're at. They're not putting down a 600 point course. Yeah. If they've a couple of, you know, they're not doing all higher levels. So, you know, students know within range. So hopefully most students will get the first round offer, or the first choice offer, should I say. And then you accept, you get the option to accept. Oh, the other thing that will happen next week is that students will have the opportunity to get their papers reassessed. And that comes out the following Tuesday. So they get the results on the Friday, and then on the Tuesday, the portal opens where they can look at maybe the marks, and then they can decide, do I want to view my scripts? Yeah. And if scripts will come back to the school, or they can view them, I think they're online now. And I think there's a cost to it, but you can, there might be a cost to get them reviewed. Right. But you can, if you view your scripts and you might say, God, maybe you felt you're hard done by there, could you? But the only thing I would say to people, your marks will only go up if they find a fault that the examiner made. Yeah. So like, you know, some people say, I got a H1, I was only a few points off getting, I got a H2, I was only a few points off getting a H1. The person who's re-examining, it's not going to be saying, oh, God love that person, I'm going to give them next. It's only if I can find a mistake that the original examiner missed, you'll get the point. So, you know, I wouldn't be banking on that either. You know, it's other thing that people might do is look to defer a course. So say they get their dream choice, the first choice, law in Galway. They might say, right, I want to defer. Now, you're not guaranteed a deferral. Right. You contact the college and you say, look at, you know, financial reasons, I want to work for the year. You know, I wouldn't say I'm going to have to do a PLC to see if I like law, because the college say like, well, we're not holding out for a year for you. Yeah. So if your reason is genuine and the college can accommodate it, they will say, okay, you can defer that. It's not guaranteed. Yeah. And it's not a bad choice. If you feel you're not ready to go and you would like a year in Cavan Institute or Monaghan Institute or Dunboyne or wherever it is that suits you, you know, a year there, and if you were lucky enough to get your place deferred, you know you're going to that course next year. You know, a year in Cavan College will do wonders for anyone, because it'll help you write assignments, it'll help you meet deadlines. You know, it's much more focused on that sort of college, university life and structure. Life, maybe more so than the school, where a lot of students were taken by the hand and you know, you're kind of pushed into told, whereas when you go to third level, if you do your assignment or not, it's not, the lecturer's not going to care. They still get that assignment closed at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, and if you don't have it in before 5, you're losing 10% for every you know, day that you miss. Or by in school, the teacher, you know, oh, please miss, I forgot to get it done last night, the dog get me homework stuff. Yeah. And you know, teachers will be very good, they'll say okay mostly. So Cavan Institute, or any of the institutes, PLCs, is a good prepping for university. And worst case scenario, you don't get any of your choices. Yeah, look, the amount of roads into stuff now is huge. Like, I mean, if you really wanted a course and you didn't get it, you didn't get the offer, you know, and you really want a certain career, you really want a certain, say you're engineer and you've always wanted to do that, like, absolutely, like go into like the institutes, they're fantastic, and they'll prep you. And then next year, and this is another thing, you're not guaranteed if you go into Cavan Institute to get into a course but you will definitely be in a stronger position. Yeah. And when you fill out your CEO then next year, you'll be using PLC
or maybe your points again. It depends. Your PLC will then, if you didn't get the points you wanted, then doing a PLC will replace your points.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant option. So, like, for example, Cavan Institute, and I'm going to talk because we're in Cavan, any of the PLCs, like, you'll have students in there, and I know students that I would have sent there or encouraged to go there, got 500 plus points in their Leaving Cert. But they just maybe felt they weren't ready.
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't get the course they wanted, and they used the PLC then probably to go to the UK. One girl in particular, she wanted to be an occupational therapist, 520 points. She needed more than that for occupational therapy in Ireland. She's now in Glasgow in her final year of occupational therapy. You know, there's ways into everything. Don't rule out apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Don't rule out like traineeships. There's a world of opportunities out there. So don't panic, I suppose, is
the main thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, as you say, you may go a different road and then suddenly realise you find something you really enjoy, really like.
Absolutely. What's meant for you won't pass you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And oftentimes, like, we're obsessed with points and how many points you got and did I get this? Like, the amount of students, and any guidance counsellor will tell you that you know, one student in particular about 2 years ago, up or down, he needed 510 points to get into this course in DCU. This was his dream course. Got it just by the skin of his teeth, worked hard, got it, and he dropped out after 4 months. It was not what he thought it was going to be, and he found himself in a completely different course the following year, and very happy. So, and it was not something he'd even dreamed of doing. Yeah, he was so focused that I want this in DCU that he never even looked outside of what other opportunities out there. Getting yourself into college, if that's the road you want to go down, like, that's only a stepping stone. It's a door into the next phase. Yeah. It's not guaranteeing anything. It's easy for us sitting here, Declan, to say don't panic, but panic will do nothing anyway. Yeah. But there's lots of alternative roads. My advice to anyone, if they didn't get what they wanted, you know, Lincoln, the schools are very good. Their guidance counsellor will generally meet. They will always meet last year's students. So make an appointment, go in and meet your guidance counsellor, discuss what you're hoping for, where you're at now, and, you know, and take a step back. And it is really, because sometimes it's like wood for the trees situation, that you're so engrossed and so dead set on particular, this is the path I wanted to take. But then, as you say, you step back, maybe take a year out, do a course, and suddenly realise, oh, actually, no, this is better suited to me. Yeah. Look at it. And another thing is, friends are going, and lots of students will have accommodation already booked in a college, and if they don't get that course, think, this is it. I've got that accommodation, and everything will work out. It does, and I know that from my own experience. I went round the houses to get to where I wanted to get. That's maybe what needs to happen with some people. Yeah. I would have had students come in to me when I was in school, and they'd say, like, they're so dead cert, 100% I want this to be a primary school teacher. And then they get the course, and then it's not what they thought it was going to be. You know, for other students who really don't know what they want to do, and maybe to go off and to do a course, and they like an aspect of it, and then they focus on that, and maybe to do the masters on that, and it takes its own life. Yeah. And sometimes that's a nicer road to be on.
This is it, and I suppose courses can lead on to other things and down different paths.
Absolutely. And a lot of time, it's the people you meet at college, it's the conversations you have, that takes its own direction. And don't rule out anything. Like no more than me talking about that student that ended up in Scotland to do OT. Like, I remember her saying to me, no, I wouldn't go to the UK. And yet 3 years later, she doesn't want to, and now she's not leaving the UK. She's taking a job in London because she loves it, and she wants, you know. So where we're at now, and the lens we look at things at 18, 19, most of the students will be, you know, when you're 22, 23, 24, you'll have a very different outlook. Yeah.
It's not just about your education, it's defining your life, your lifestyle, where you, as you say, where you'll end up in life.
And this is, like, we see this so many times, 600 points in a Leaving Cert guarantees you nothing. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have a successful, hard work and willingness to follow your dreams and a commitment to that will be far more successful. There used to be a saying, now I want to be careful saying it, but the A students generally end up working with the C students because, you know, your middle of the road students are willing to take risks and chances, and, you know, it's work ethic. Yeah. You know, and like, even, and I would say if someone goes into medicine, like, what makes a good doctor is the people the workload that comes with it. Yeah. And, you know, that work ethic. And in any job, we know it's the people who are willing to dedicate themselves to it. That'll determine your success, not the point you get next week.
Yeah. It's more than just the point you get on the day. It's your whole life.
Unfortunately, that's the system we have, or fortunately, it depends. Other countries have different systems, you know. But that's what determines what access into university from school points. That's what we use. There's pluses and minuses to it. You know, it's not perfect, but it's certainly, if you don't get the points and you always wanted to be, let's say, a teacher, and you don't get the points for it, there's ways into it. Like you'll get there if it's something you really, really want.
And where you start might not always be where you end up anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I suppose one of the things, the options people might think about is repeating the Leaving Certificate. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, back when I was in school, and yourself, Declan, was probably, I've repeated my Leaving Certificate. It's not generally done as much anymore. People would generally use the PLC route.
Right.
It's, again, talk to your guidance counsellor, but I would keep moving forward if possible. Like if you need a certain amount of points, and the PLC is not going to get you that, but the PLCs are excellent rather than repeating, because you're moving on, I think.
Repeating the Leaving Cert, I mean, it's a gamble in a sense. You're probably not guaranteed.
You're not guaranteed it. And look, like for example, medicine is probably the big one where people, and even like students who get full points and get the HPAT, even with medicine, it can be a lottery. They pull names out of a hat because there's such a demand. So you could get your 600, get your full marks, it wouldn't equate to 625, but 625 and then you get your HPAT result and you put that in and you meet the requirements. Like there's still only so many places, and people then repeat the Leaving Cert. Well, there's no point in repeating at that stage if you've got 625. You're not going to better it. People can get 580, 530, 540, and even if they've done a good HPAT, they still get enough points and they think, right, let's repeat and I might get more, but it's still a lottery. So
work with what you have.
Maybe go on and do a degree in, biomedical science or something like that, and then go on to do grad medicine down the line. I think, look, that's only my opinion. Talk to your guidance counsellor in school, but you don't see many students repeat, not with the options that's out there now. With the opportunities in the likes of the institutes, it's keep moving forward.
So we wish the students all the best and good luck with that.
And the mammies.
Daddies.
Particularly
the mammies, I suppose.
And it's easy. It is a stressful time. Because there's so much hype put on it. But when, as you said a few minutes ago, when you step back and you realise, like most of these students, when they're sitting in university now next year or the year after, or college, whatever it is, or they're doing their apprenticeship, the exams they do then in second, third and fourth year will be way more important to the outcome than the Leaving Cert.
Yeah. And how are things in CMETB coming into busy time planning?
So like in adult education, we have our timetable was out there in July for September classes. So anyone who is thinking of doing a course with CMETB adult education, our timetable, just ring up and you'll get the timetable. Or you'll find it online and look through if there's something you're interested in. And
it's courses, all kinds of things. It's not
everything and anything from level 2s, which is very introductory. So as I mentioned before to you, level 2 is, I've never turned on a computer before. I don't know how to level 5, which is a Leaving Cert equivalent level. We do healthcare, childcare and business modules. People a bit more advanced and maybe are preparing for work. Level 2s and 3s is very much getting into something. So there's something for everyone. Then there's hobby course. I know here in Ballagym stuff Caroline's running. She's art classes. She has woodcraft classes, and they'll be non-accredited or where there's no pressure. It's a hobby
for
course.
Enjoyment. For
enjoyment,
achievement for yourself.
Exactly. And then for those that may be terrified of computers, there's a couple of level 2s, and then over in Ballybor we have classes. Cavan Town, there's St. Augustine's, our new office there. It has a lot more on offer than we said. Like that's where the main hub would be in Ballagym stuff, and then we've outreach in likes of Mulla, Ballybor, Ballyconnell, Turban, places like that, Coothill. So something for everyone. Again, and I mentioned this, if you're considering even to do a hobby course, or you're saying, God, I'd love to learn how to use a computer or even to use my smartphone, or for people who don't know how to read and write, and that can be very hard on people to admit to that. We see it all. Please pop in to myself or Siobhan in Cavan Town, make an appointment, or just come in and say, look, I'd love to learn how to read and write. You will not be the first and you won't be the last. And we have all the supports there to make sure that's success. And
you're not judged.
Not in the slightest, because would you believe over 40%, they reckon it's about 30-40% of the population over 40 have literacy problems. Now that would be including computer literacy and stuff like that. But so you look, you're not on your own.
You're in the big club.
Yes, and so that's what we're there for. Facilitate that. So look at if we can be helping anyway. It's a free confidential service. Please reach out.
And your location Behind the church in Ballyjamestough.
Behind the church in Ballyjamestough, that's where I'm based. And Siobhan is based in St. Augustine's. It's right beside the cathedral in Cavantown. You see this lovely new building just before the cathedral on the left. You can't miss it.
And if anyone Googles CMETB anyway,
you'll find us.
Probably the easiest way.
Yeah. Look at it, or even pop in. Email address is cavanadulted, so CAVANADULTED @cmetb.ie, or even phone up and they'll put you in contact with us, 049 4361 881. And
also, just before we let you go, do you want to give a plug to your own podcast, Martin?
Yeah, myself and Eddie. Eddie works in Cavan Institute. He's a tutor there, and our podcast is based around adult learners who've gone back into education. And even for students to hear that story, like, one of the very first episodes is David, who didn't even have a junior cert.
Yeah.
And he's talking about doing a PhD now in psychiatric nursing. He's got his master's, and he's talking about lecturing. And listening to his journey, where he ended up compared to where he started. And there's actually one of the last episodes is Christopher Redhead from Monaghan, who at a young age got stuck into addiction during his Leaving Cert and after it. And he repeated his Leaving Cert. And he just talking about that. And now he's gone back to college. It's early in his 30s, and he's wanting to do counselling and stuff like that. So you type into Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, CMETB, The Journey. If you type in CMETB, it generally comes up. It's called The Journey. And listen to other people's stories. The last episode actually is Michelle Tilson from Training Service within CMETB talking about traineeships and how they work. And we had 2 students that had done the traineeship, one in healthcare, one in youth work, and how they found that experience. So,
and it'll give you some encouragement and some inspiration, perhaps.
Yeah. Look, there's people on there, and one of them, Tom from Ballyconnell, Tom Lyons, he's brilliant. He talked about not being able to read and write. He's dyslexia, and he's talking about now he can read the letters come in because he got a reader pen and what's available. And it was all like, it was revolutionary to Tom. This changed his life.
Yeah,
and it was the simplest thing in the world, but he didn't know about it. Most of the stories are they are success stories. People who have just talking about their experience and their journey. That's why it's called The Journey.
The Journey, yeah. That's available, as you say, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, we'll probably be talking to you again before too long, but Martin McGovern from Cavan and ETB, thanks for joining us here on the Virginia
Thanks
Roundup.
for having me, Declan.
Thanks a million.
The Virginia Roundup, your monthly podcast for and about Virginia.
And many thanks to Martin for popping in and seeing us here on the Virginia Roundup. Now, as we mentioned on the interview there with Martin, lots of students will be searching for student accommodation. Now, last year here on the Virginia Roundup, we spoke to Maeve Hogan, who's the Chief Executive of the PSRA, which is the Property Services Regulatory Authority, which licenses auctioneers, estate agents, letting agents and property management agents. And she gave some advice on anyone who's looking for student accommodation or indeed any lettings in the near future. So I think it's worthwhile recapping on some of Maeve's main points from our interview last year. And she started by telling us who the PSRA are.
Yes, the PSRA it's a statutory body. We are a decentralised office to Navan, so just over the border there from Virginia. We are a statutory body with responsibility for improving standards of estate agents, letting agents, management agents and auctioneers. And on the other side also we have a remit in relation to consumer protection. So the property services include the sales and lettings of houses and property. So also an auctioneer or an estate agent must be licensed by the authority. So on an annual basis, agents must renew their licence. We also have a remit in dealing with complaints about estate agents. So we, on average, get around 250 complaints a year. We have a role in auditing those businesses. So on every couple of years or so, we go out and about and we audit businesses. But from a consumer protection perspective also, we manage a compensation fund. So in the event that your licensed estate agent or auctioneer, for whatever reason, acts dishonestly, there is a compensation fund there to compensate you for your loss. So we have a wide remit in relation to the provision of property services across the country. Annually, it is that time of year, as you outlined at the start there, that students start very early looking for accommodation. As we all know, property is scarce, and particularly student accommodation probably more difficult to acquire. So the search, I would imagine, begins once the Leaving Cert is over. The search begins for that coveted accommodation close to the university, for the hopeful students that hope they get a place in the local universities and colleges. Sadly, unfortunately, people are fraudulently out there looking for soft targets in relation to defrauding people of their money. We do run media campaigns. We run both radio and social media campaigns advising students of the pitfalls in relation to avoid in relation to seeking accommodation. Again, the old adage, if something is too good to be true, it should be a red flag. Check out if it's an agent that's advertising the property, check our publicly available register of licensees at psr.ie. Every licensed agent is listed on that register, and the details of their license, their name and the expiry date of their license is available there. So that's the first due diligence maybe they might look for. If it's unclear if it's a letting agent and somebody advertising the property, if it's no viewings are allowed, if they want it's all a cash deal. Mm-hmm. Now, there's nothing wrong with cash, but it's just to be alert that if they are looking for cash only, is there something behind that? And again, the students should do their due diligence. If they do go and view a property, ask a flood of questions of the person letting the property. Where's the local gym? Where's the local bus stop? Mm-hmm. Where's the local train station? If they're the owner of the property and they understand the area and they've lived in the area and know the area well, they should be very easily able to answer those questions. And if they hesitate, just to be aware that they're not as knowledgeable of the areas you think they should be if they own the property. So bring along somebody who has a bit of experience, be it a parent, a guardian, along with you to view the property, so that there's maybe two of you there looking at the property and asking questions. Each of those licensed agents carry a license card with their picture on it and their name and expiry date of their license card, and ask to see that license card. If they're a licensed agent, a letting agent that's letting the property, ask to see that card. They won't be offended. It's part of their statutory remit when they become licensed by us, that they must carry that license card with them when they're viewing properties. So that student that goes to view a property can ask to see that license card. Certainly they won't be offended, and they are expected to show that license card once requested. And we do welcome any notification to ourselves about unlicensed trading, because we have a zero tolerance for unlicensed trading. So if the public out there come across an unlicensed agent, we want to hear about it through, if they could contact the PSRA at info@psr.ie, finding the details there, we will take it from there.
Some very sound advice there from Maeve Hogan from the Property Services Regulatory Authority. And if you want to find out more information, you can visit www.psr.ie. Right now, it's time for Age Defy Fitness with Gary Brazil.
Age Defy Fitness with Gary Brazil on the Virginia Roundup.
Hello and welcome to another piece of health and fitness advice from me, Gary Brazil of Age Defy Fitness. I'm a personal trainer in Steel Flex Gym in Virginia Town, and I'm also an online fitness coach. Today's podcast piece is a little bit different than my normal stuff. Normally I'm talking about fitness, nutrition, getting fitter, getting stronger, building healthier habits. But today I want to talk about something which is much more personal, and it affects so many people, not just in Virginia, but around the world. And it's something that changed my life, and that's alcohol. Now, before I go any further, I want to say something that's really important. This episode isn't about judging anyone. It isn't about telling people never to have an alcoholic drink. It isn't about saying everyone who enjoys a few pints has a problem. This is simply my story, and it's also a message of hope. Because if you're listening today and you're quietly wondering whether alcohol has become a bigger part of your life than you'd like, or if you're worried about someone that you love, I hope you'll stay with me for the next few minutes. Because I want you to know something. It can happen to anybody. Absolutely anybody. People often have this picture in their heads of what someone with an alcohol problem looks like. And I was the exact same. They imagine somebody who's lost everything. Somebody sleeping rough. Somebody who's unemployed. Somebody whose whole life is visibly falling apart. But that's not always what addiction looks like. Sometimes it's someone who gets up every morning and goes to work, pays the mortgage, looks after the family, coaches the local soccer team, has a laugh for friends, smiles at everyone, and then quietly struggles every evening when the day is over. Because addiction can wear a suit. Sometimes it even wears gym gear. Sometimes it looks exactly like your neighbour, your work colleague, your best friend, or the person looking back at you in the mirror. That's why it's so important that we stop judging and start understanding, because addiction does not discriminate. It doesn't care about your age, your job, your education, or how successful you are. It can affect anyone, including me. There was a period in my life where alcohol had become far more important than I wanted to admit. For a long time, I convinced myself I was fine. I wasn't drinking in the morning. I was still working. Life looked fairly normal from the outside, but if I'm honest, alcohol had become my way of dealing with stress. If I'd had a tough day, I'd have a drink. If I had a good day, I'd have a drink. Weekend drink, celebration drink, bad mood drink. It slowly became the answer to almost everything. And here's the scary part. I didn't even realise how much control it had over me, because that's how addiction works. It whispers, it tells you, you deserve this. Why don't you relax and have a drink? Everybody does it. Actually, you'll cut back next week. That sound familiar? Because the problem is next week then becomes next month, then next year. And before you know it, you've built a life around something you once believed you controlled. And for me, alcohol didn't just affect my physical health. It affected my sleep, my energy, my motivation, my confidence, my mental health. I'd wake up telling myself today would be different. Then somehow I'd find myself making the very same decisions later on that day. And it was exhausting. Not just physically, but mentally. Because every promise I broke to myself chipped away my self-belief. Now, looking back now, I realised something. Alcohol wasn't solving my stress. It was actually helping to create it. Now, I know there'll be people listening today who are thinking, that's me, or maybe that's somebody that I love that I think is going through that. So if that's you, please hear this. There's absolutely no shame in asking for help. In fact, I think it takes enormous courage. And that's speaking for somebody who never asked for help. I always thought I could do things on my own. We often think asking for help is a sign of weakness. I've come to believe exactly the opposite. It's one of the bravest things a person can do. And the really important thing is this. There isn't just one road to recovering from alcohol addiction. Some people find support through AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Some people speak with their GP first. Some people work with an addiction counsellor, others lean on family, friends or local support services. Different paths work for different people. The important thing isn't which path you choose. The important thing is taking the first step. So if you're here in Virginia or Cavan or the surrounding areas, there is help available. Your GP can be a great starting point and point you towards local addiction supports or counselling service, HSE addiction service and AA meetings throughout the country. There's absolutely tons of them in Cavan. You don't have to have all the answers before you ask for help. You just have to be willing to start the conversation. For me, stopping drinking was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made because I had to cut people out of my life. I had to change so many different things about my habits and about what I'd done at weekends and all that type of thing. But hand on my heart, it was the best decision I've ever made. Because today I sleep better, I've more energy, my mind is clearer, I'm healthier, I'm happier. I've rebuilt trust in myself and perhaps more importantly, I found the purpose. Helping other people improve their lives through fitness, healthier habits and believing in themselves has become one of the greatest privileges of my life. And I'm talking to somebody who started this journey at 50 years of age. Do I still have difficult days? Of course I do, absolutely. Life doesn't suddenly become perfect when you cut alcohol out of your life if you have an issue with it. But today I deal with those difficult days instead of trying to drink them away. And that has made all the difference. So let me finish with this. If you're listening today and alcohol has become something you're worried about, please don't wait till everything falls apart before asking for help. You do not have to hit that rock bottom that you hear about. Sometimes the strongest decision you can make is simply admitting to somebody that something needs to change. So if you're listening because you're worried about someone else, don't give up on them. Keep talking, keep listening, keep encouraging them. Recovery is possible. Because people do recover, lives do change, and mine certainly did. And I'll leave you with one thought. One decision rarely changes your whole life overnight, but one decision can change the direction of your life forever. Mine did, and maybe today could be the start of yours or somebody that you love. So until next time, mind yourselves, look after one another, and remember, no matter where you are today, there's always hope. And if you're looking for more information on alcohol issues or making positive changes in your life, why don't you give me a follow on Facebook at Age Defy Fitness with Gary Brazil, or if you're on Instagram, I'm there as well at Gary Brazil Age Defy Fitness. Until next time, take care.
Age Defy Fitness with Gary Brazil on the Virginia Roundup.
You can listen to all of the previous episodes of the Virginia Roundup wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Audible, and at thevirginiaroundup.podbean.com.
Many thanks for that, Gary. And Gary, of course, will be back with us next month here on the Virginia Roundup. Right now, it's time for the 2-minute reset.
The 2-minute reset on the Virginia Roundup.
Thanks, Declan, and welcome to the 2-minute reset. If you're a student waiting on Leaving Cert Results, or CAO offers, or a parent sitting right there next to them, chances are your nervous system has been running on high gear. The anticipation of this moment can feel incredibly heavy. But before the portals open, before the screens light up, let's take 60 seconds to ground ourselves. Parents, let's start with you. Your instinct right now might be to fix things, to plan, or to worry about the what ifs. But the most valuable thing you can offer your teenager today isn't a solution, it's safety, a steady presence. Remind them through your calm that their worth is entirely independent of a point score. And to the students, look at your hands for a moment. Think about the sheer volume of work, stress, and growth those hands carried over the last 2 years. The results you're about to see are a record of how a specific set of exams went during a few weeks in June. That is it. They are a data point, not a definition of who you are. If today brings the exact offer you wanted, celebrate it. You earned it. But if the screen shows something different, if the points don't align or the first preference isn't there, give yourself permission to feel that disappointment. Cry if you need to. Scream into a pillow. Let the emotion out. But remember this, the CAO is a system of gates, but life is a landscape of open fields. There is no single correct path. There are round 2 offers, PLC courses, apprenticeships, internal college transfers, and repeating. Some of the most successful, fulfilled people in Ireland right now did not get their first choice course. Whatever happens today, you're going to be okay. Take it one step, one phone call, one breath at a time. You've made it this far. The future is still yours to build. I'm Michelle, and I'll talk to you next month on the Virginia Roundup.
The 2-minute reset on the Virginia Roundup.
Many thanks for that, Michelle. And of course, Michelle will be back in September here on the Virginia Roundup. Don't forget, if you have anything that you want to publicise, whether it's an upcoming community event, maybe it's a club or organisation that you're involved in, well, you can contact us and we will promote your club or your upcoming event, once it's a charity or community event, free of charge. You can email the Virginia Roundup at gmail.com, or indeed you can send us a message on Facebook. It's facebook.com/the Virginia Roundup. Now, on the June episode of the Virginia Roundup, we took a look at the Deer Park Forest here in Virginia, and this month it's the turn of Lough Ramor.
There is a quiet corner of County Cavan where the land softens into water and the hurried pace of the modern world simply slips away. Here lies Lough Ramor, a sweeping sheet of glass stretching out beside the town of Virginia, shaped by the slow retreat of ice some 10,000 years ago. To the passing traveller, it is a place of serene postcard beauty, but beneath its shimmering surface and along its wooded shores, Lough Ramor holds the echoes of a deep and dramatic past. Its ancient Irish name hints at a forgotten warrior of immense strength, a fitting title for a landscape that has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Along its banks, Neolithic burial sites and Bronze Age stones tell us that people have called this shoreline home for over 4,000 years. If these waters could speak, they would tell tales of early Christian missionaries sent by St. Patrick and of fierce medieval battles. In the 9th century, the High King of Meath led an army to this very lake, destroying a stronghold of raiders who had fortified themselves on one of Lough Ramor's many islands. Centuries later, a silver Viking brooch was discovered in the shoreline mud, a silent witness to those turbulent times. Today, the conflicts have faded, replaced by the gentle rhythm of nature. Lough Ramor is a protected sanctuary, a vibrant wetland where the ancient oak and hazel woods of Deer Park dip their branches into the water. It is a haven for life. Overhead, the sky is shared by majestic whooper swans and cormorants, while beneath the ripples, legendary pike rule the shallows. As the evening sun dips low, casting a warm amber glow across the water and its 30 scattered islets, Lough Ramor reveals its true magic. It it remains exactly what it has always been. A timeless sanctuary of beauty, myth, and quiet wonder in the heart of Ireland.
Well, I think it's been such a busy episode of the Virginia Roundup. It's lovely to sit back and listen to that relaxing description of Lough Ramor. And that is all we've got time for on this month's edition of the Virginia Roundup. Thanks, as always, for your company. Thanks to Martin McGovern, to Gary Brazil, to Michelle, and thanks to you for listening. We'll be back on the 15th of September with our next episode. Don't forget to spread the word, tell your friends about the Virginia Roundup, and we will talk to you in September. From Declan Traynor, it's goodbye for now.
The Virginia Roundup, your monthly podcast for and about Virginia.